Still more breaking news now, this time from Wall Street. The markets fell today following President Trump's late-day tariff announcement yesterday, and they fell hard. You can see the numbers right here. The Dow fell nearly 4%, 1,700 points nearly. NASDAQ 6%, S&P about 5%. It went into correction territory for one of its biggest one-day losses since 2020. But the market slips aren't the only way this will impact Americans. Charlie Vijahuski's here with more on some of the other impacts. Charlie.
Well, Mary and Alex, the idea is that the cost of foreign tariffs will be passed along to American consumers in the form of higher prices. Most economists say it's unlikely we'll pay the full cost of those tariffs, but they say it will translate into higher prices for almost everything. It was a signature sending shockwaves through the world economy. The president invoking tariffs that will apply to almost all goods imported into the United States.
The proposed policies are bad for the economy, bad in terms of economic growth.
The actual tariffs will depend on the country, but experts say the bottom line is that everything will cost more.
The tariffs will raise prices perhaps by 2 to 2.5%. That's a non-trivial chunk of inflation.
What will be the hardest hit? Coffee. 80% of the precious beans come from Colombia and Brazil. Prices could jump by 10%. Chocolate, too, could cost more. While cocoa beans tend to come from the continent of Africa, the USDA says cocoa butter is produced in Indonesia and Malaysia, and those are countries facing 24 to 32% tariffs. Shoes. The International Trade Commission estimates that we import $9.5 billion in footwear each year from China. That nation is facing combined tariffs of up to 54%. China is also a major source for toys and electronics. Bess Navarra is an expert in high-end audio.
I think from a perspective and just using some intuition, I'd say it's probably going to be at least double digits, anywhere from 10 to at least 25% at minimum.
Much of the clothing we wear also comes from Southeast Asia. Some retailers, like Fabletics, are already informing their customers about a tariff surcharge. The Trump administration says the tariffs are designed to spur American industries, especially manufacturing. But the Illinois Manufacturers Association is not so optimistic.
It will increase the price of goods initially, and then there's some fear about retaliation by other countries that can put increased costs on American goods that are being sent overseas.
And that is a major worry for Illinois manufacturers. They say the regulatory or retaliatory tariffs could make it much harder for them to sell their products abroad. Mary, Alex, back to you.
20. And with this, there is now bipartisan support on Capitol Hill as some members of Congress are looking to intervene. The pressure is on Republican lawmakers who are caught in the middle of whether to be loyal to the president or voice their opposition.
Political reporter Marian Ahern here now with more of that reaction.
Marian and Alex, yes, a bill has been introduced on Capitol Hill with Republican and Democratic Senate support that would require Congress to approve any tariffs within 60 days of the president's proposal. However, it is unclear if it will even get a vote on the Senate floor.
This is absolute insanity. When you impose these tariffs, basically what you're doing is you're increasing prices even at the same time that you're driving the economy into a recession.
Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy and other Democratic members of the Illinois delegation do not support President Trump's new tariffs. On social media, Governor Pritzker said the tariffs were the biggest tax hike in American history and, quote, the tariffs are throwing the economy into the tank. Republican Congressman Darren LaHood from Peoria offered lukewarm support for the tariffs, saying in part, while I generally oppose tariffs, I will give President Trump's approach room to work, while also ensuring that those in my district who may face an impact from a new tariff will be heard. Congresswoman Robin Kelly.
When you think about Illinois and California, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, we're donor states. We give to the states like, Mississippi, Louisiana, West Virginia. So they really stand to lose even more.
House Republicans have been more publicly supportive of the president's tariffs. However, senators like Wisconsin's Ron Johnson calls the tariffs a high risky bet. Others are planning resolutions next week to overturn some of these tariffs.
Trump is pushing our economy in the wrong direction. During a time when many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, this trade war is senseless, frivolous, and dangerous to Americans' family budgets.
We all have to come together, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, whoever you are. If you don't like increase prices, if you don't like a tanking economy and a tanking stock market, let's come together and let's put an end to this disaster.
The ugly day on Wall Street predicted. At the same time, others are surprised by the size of the sell-off. Alex and Marion.
And it's been just over 24 hours since President Trump announced new tariffs, including a 34% tax against goods shipped from China into the U.S., a 20% import tax on all products from the European Union, and a 25% tariff on all imported vehicles.
Tonight, NBC5 investigative reporter Chuck Gowdy is here with a closer look at the financial impact of all this. Chuck?
Alex, Marion, the final bell has sounded on a terrible Thursday for American financial markets. By any measure, there was a free fall that ended with market averages down about 4%. Like a rock in a river, the ripple effects go wide. You don't have to own a single stock for President Trump's new tariffs to start playing havoc with your family finances. Tonight, NBC5 investigates what it all means and what's next.
The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom.
As President Trump made his way to a golf event, U.S. stock markets were indeed going boom. The three major financial exchanges with their worst blow since 2020. The president a few minutes ago said that the markets are going to boom. Is that still possible?
So the stock market is not the economy. The stock market does a lot of strange things. The economy can be great. The stock market really tanks. The economy can be kind of crummy, and the stock market will bubble up. So I can't say it won't happen, but this certainly won't help.
Tonight, economic experts still trying to understand how the administration deciphered tariffs long charged by foreign nations on American goods that are being used as the basis for President Trump's so-called reciprocal tariffs, listed on a chart that he held up yesterday in the Rose Garden ceremony.
Those numbers are very different from numbers that I have seen from, for example, the World Trade Organizations or the UN or any of the other normal economic bodies. Much higher.
Using their own math, those are the numbers that White House tariff calculations will determine prices on foreign nuts and bolts, raw materials, parts, and finished products such as cars.
There's no such thing as an all-American car.
And because many U.S.-made products are dependent on foreign-made parts, even items labeled Made in the USA are expected to see higher prices that experts say no one can escape.
I mean, the Unabomber and Robinson Crusoe will probably be all right.
What's the worst-case scenario from what happened today?
The worst-case scenario I'm thinking about is something like what happened in 1929, 1930, early 1930s. The value of world trade fell by about 2/3 in 4 years.
The Smoot-Hawley tariffs of the 1930s, enacted under Herbert Hoover, who's not generally remembered as a particularly good president. These went on, the Smoot-Hawley tariffs went on, and it caused a real downward spiral of international trade.
So President Trump's tariffs are being referred to as reciprocal, a way to even the playing field from what he says are foreign nations overcharging, manipulating, and cheating their own tariff system. Tonight, what is happening is being described by economic experts as retaliatory tariffs by Canada already and planned by the European Union, certainly unfolding quickly.
Chuck, it bears repeating what one of those economists said. The stock market is not the economy itself. So what should we be looking at here to kind of evaluate the real impact of these tariffs?
So as it plays out over the coming weeks and months, what the experts say is the gross national product, inflation, and the unemployment rate, all better barometers of how and when the tariffs will start causing an impact on our U.S. economy.
All right, keeping an eye on all those indicators. Thanks so much, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.